Hi, Stitchers. Welcome to Tatreez Talk, where we share conversations about Palestinian embroidery. I'm Amani here with my co host Lena, chatting with talented embroiderers and artists, sharing their stories, inspirations, and the cultural significance behind their work.
On today's episode, we are chatting with Fatima, a Tatreez artist, creator, activist, and another friend from last year's Tatreez Retreat. Welcome to Tatreez Talk, Fatima.
Hi, everyone. I'm so excited to be here.
We're excited to have you. We'll talk a little bit about the retreat later, but I will say, Fatima, when I think you and there was one other Canadian, our friend Layla, and I think when we were like, oh my God, we have Canadians coming, they're actually stepping foot in America for this retreat. So we're very honored.
Oh my God, you guys don't understand. Like us Canadians looking at Americans, it's always like from the outside in. Like, you're like hating from outside the club. You're like, they all know each other. They're all friends. How do you guys do that? And so like us Canadians are
Wow.
like, let me in.
Oh, I wish we had
That's
the
so
visual for
funny.
this. We need to like
I
clip this
know.
visual because Fatima's reactions.
I
I love it.
swear. That's what it feels
No,
like.
it's
They won't be friends with them.
funny because I feel like there is kind of like well, yeah, the 7 degrees of separation, is that what they call it? Like I will talk to somebody like another Arab American, Palestinian American, and be like, oh yeah, so and so, and they're like, wait, what's their family's name? And like somehow they'll know their cousin who like lives in New York, and I'm like, how? Like how do we? How is this network like this?
It's
But
worse with us. It's worse with Canadians because you're like, I know her from social media, but like, how do I know? How do you know her? How do you know?
yeah,
Because you
yeah,
guys are
yeah,
in different states. And like Canadians, we don't know each other at all. Like even in other cities, we're
yeah.
like, who is that? What do you mean? What are you talking about? But you Americans, you're like, someone's down in Florida, someone's up in New York, someone's in Indiana. I don't even know where Indiana is. Is that where Guyana's from?
Don't tell Diane that. Don't
That
tell
why
Diane that.
that's why it's in my subconscious.
That
Just
is
kidding.
Oh my
I
God.
know
Okay,
where
well,
someone's from.
we have to go to Canada and like fix this situation. We'll
أهلا
we'll talk to we'll
وسهلا.
talk a little bit more about the Canadian Arabs about this situation. But of course, we are so glad to have you here on Tatreez Talk, Fatima. We're very excited to chat a little bit more with you. As Lena mentioned, we got to know you a little bit during the Tatreez retreat, and we're like, we have to talk to her a little bit more. So let us have the listeners get to know you. And let's start by asking you a little bit about you and your family's connection to Palestine.
So my family's connection is a little bit far because they went in the first Nakba to Lebanon. So I'm half Lebanese, half Palestinian, and my mom's side is from Safad, um, and a small little town called Ajaoni. If there's anybody out there that is from Ajaoni, please come talk to me.
Yes, hit up Fatima, please.
I have never ever met anyone else from Ajaoni, as my grandma's from there and my grandpa's from Safad. Safad is already small enough, so when you say Safad, you're like,
Yeah.
sometimes there's crickets and people are like, what do you mean? But that's where they're from. And they lived my mom grew up and was born in Lebanon. And that's where she met my dad. And that's where I come from.
And do you go back and forth a lot, like to Lebanon? Have you guys been to Palestine at all?
I actually don't. I've only been to Lebanon once, and it was years ago. It was in 2009. And Palestine, I've never been.
Mm.
Mostly because like there's no family. I have no family left in Palestine, so it really just would be for the culture and just to be connected to. But my all my uncles have all of the Palestini passports and the key to our
Oh.
old home in Safad. So it's my mom's
Wow.
grandpa's key. Yeah. And actually, I need to talk to my uncle about that. He lives in Germany, and I think that's a
Uh-huh.
no-go. I feel like I should have
Yeah,
it
you should have it.
and keep it
Wait, that's
sacred.
actually really amazing that they still have
Right.
that. Like, that's wow. Yeah, you definitely need to get that and preserve it for the family because that's like it's such a beautiful piece of history that so many of us don't have anymore, which is
Yeah.
unfortunate, but that's
I was
really
I was so
special.
shocked. Yeah, I was so shocked that he had that, and there's like photographs, and I think he has little other things that have connections to Safad, which I think is
Mhm.
amazing because like Safad is so, I feel like it's so long gone, compared
Mm.
to other places where there's still a Palestinian presence and there's still that. Like Safad just seems like it's, you know, so in the past, and I hate saying that so much because none of Palestine is in the past. It's all, you
Yeah.
know, it is what it is. But yeah, I'm stealing.
It's hard when we're yeah, no, it's hard when we're scattered in diaspora. Because like same with, my mom's side of the family is from a depopulated 48 village, and like I've never outside of my own family, like actually I'm lying. In college, I met this girl uh one time, and she randomly was from our village, and I was like, how? Like, but it's hard when we're all scattered throughout diaspora, because some of us already came from such small villages, and now we're scattered globally. So okay, we got to find you some like long lost relatives.
Please, anyone out there, please. This is actually the reason why I'm on the podcast. Is
Habibi.
any relatives, please.
You're too funny.
My
You're
mom's
too
last
funny.
name is Eunice and Musa.
Honestly, this is
We'll
an
put that in the
appropriate
show
place.
notes.
Yeah, this is actually a very appropriate place to share these details.
Actually, yes, it actually.
It's so amazing finding someone.
But also, Fatima, you're on the podcast because we want to hear about your Tatreez journey. So please share with us how you got started with Tatreez.
So a lot of other girls and guys, whoever, started Tatreez. I started after October 7. And it was just a way, like, I felt like I was drowning in my feelings, and I felt like I wasn't connected, and there was just such a huge disconnect. And it was my friend Neda who like pulled me out of this terrible space and was like, "Hey, you want to just do it with me?" And I'm like, "Okay, sure." And she's like, "Let me just teach you." And I'm like, "Okay," thinking that there was so much to this, and there is. But subhanallah, what I guess I took to it like a fish out of water, and I knew that it was something I had in me. And I feel like that's something I want to talk about, is that being from two different places and being in diaspora and being born somewhere else, I feel like we're always looking for soul ties to the places that we come from. And this was one of my biggest soul ties. Like, I felt like I took to it like a fish out of water. And even my friend Neda was like, damn, okay. And subhanAllah, like right away, and I felt comforted and connected in this practice, and it just took off from there. And all I wanted was other girls to feel the same way, because you could be in your feelings and you could be drowning and you could be looking and not knowing how you relate to these people that are so far away from you and that you can't help, and that you feel like, there's just such a disconnect, especially being in the West, and everything around you, it just seems like you're in a completely different world. And then you pick up the threes and you see how your hands know what to do, and you're like, I know this is mine.
Yes. Totally. I love that you use the phrase soul ties. I like you said it, and I was like, ooh, feel that. I feel that. Like instantly I feel that. So okay, I know you learned from your friend, but does anyone in your family Tatreez?
My aunt does. My aunt is very crafty, and so is my mom. Actually, they're both very artsy, and that's where I get my artsy side from. But long time ago, and it was like, I think we touched on this before. I think I've heard you talk about some podcasts of how like the threes turned into a practice that wasn't respected. It was very like, oh, refugees do tatreez and we don't need to do tatreez.
Yeah.
It went into more Western kind of art forms like painting and whatever and all those things. And that practice is kind of lost between our parents' generation and now that it's picking up more. So she did tatreez long time ago, and then when she saw me tatreez, she's like, "Oh my God, I did that." And I'm like, "Oh my God, you should pick it up again." So I've tried to get my mom to, yeah, but she has her eyes and she's like so frustrated with it, but I'm still trying. And maybe I'll get her just like bigger Ida cloth or something.
Get her those magnifying glasses,
count.
Habibi.
Also,
get her bigger count. Yeah, like Lena said, bigger count Ida, and then get those magnifying glasses for her. Because I think it'd be really special for you guys all to be able to stitch together.
Yeah, totally. And I bribed them with trips too, because they saw that the Tatreez Retreat, and they're just like, "What do you mean there was other older women there?" And you're like, well,
yes, that's so true.
Tatreez. They're like, "Oh, your friend's mom went?" I'm like, "Yeah, multiple of them went."
Yeah.
Do you want to go next time?
The Tatreez Retreat is for everyone.
It is.
I have to tell them. You can't tell them that. I have to tell them, be like, you have to Tatreez. Like, that's the rule. So unless if you don't Tatreez, you can't come. I'm
Well,
sorry.
yes, yes. You'll be very bored if you don't Tatreez. I mean, you'll definitely laugh because we're all hilarious, but you will be
Of
bored
course.
otherwise.
I feel like even if you didn't, you'd have the best time of your life. But I mean, we can't tell them that.
Yeah, yeah,
I
yeah.
Yes.
can.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah. It's exclusively for Tatreez practitioners.
Exactly.
100%.
Yeah.
And you have to be
So
working on
okay,
it though.
there. Now
That's
you're
what I'm
gonna
gonna
push
tell
them into
everyone.
the thobe. All right, well,
Everyone.
we'll get to your thobe. We'll get to your thobe. But going back to kind of your the start of your journey. So your friend Neda taught you, and you guys started stitching together. And like it's been a little over a year now, and I would love to hear kind of like the trajectory of your Tatreez journey in this year because, girl, you are stitching out here. You are
Yeah.
not stitching like a newbie. I will just say that. Mashallah.
Oh my God. I'm actually honored that you say that because sometimes I feel like a newbie and I'm like, oh man, it's gonna take forever. And I look back and I'm like, hey, you're doing all right.
Yeah.
Um, honestly, I don't know what came over. I think it's delusion or just like spite because I'm like a very spiteful person. I'm like, oh, you're gonna take this practice away from me? Hmm, I'm gonna do more. So,
Yes.
so right after I learned how to do that, also who also was part of the Three journey was Nada and Noura. So they're both sisters, and Noura was working on a thobe, and she was like halfway through her thobe or something. And I remember looking at it, and she's like, "Yeah, like I'm in this class. Like you really should try it if you want to. They're starting a new cohort in the new year." And I had only worked on one piece, and it was just an old kafiyeh that I didn't even know was gonna work. So I did it on a super old cafe. It was like the oranges. I did some like
Which, by the way, is beautiful. Like the pictures are gorgeous. I love that kufiya.
Yeah,
thank
you have to
you.
send us pictures so we can share with the listeners.
I will. Oh my God. But yeah, it was that one. And so I don't know what came over me. I was like, I'm gonna do this. And so I just signed up just cold base what felt like I just jumped into deep water and went into this thobe class, and it was one of the best things I've ever done too because it held me accountable to my tatreez. And the best thing also about a thobe is that you have like thobe palette cleansers. So as you're stitching, you kind of are more
Mm.
motivated to have other projects. So you have like six projects going at the same time. You're like, "Tick, tick, tick." So that's where my Tatreez journey just took off, and I was working on other pieces and framing pieces and my jeans jacket that we could talk about, which I think is one of the most special pieces that I own aside from my thobe.
That's like I can't like that's a huge leap. Like BT dubs when you're saying like, oh, you still feel like a newbie. Yani, I will also say I still feel like a newbie, even though I've been stitching now since 2018. Like I don't think you ever stop feeling like a newbie because I feel like there's like endless things to learn,
Totally.
especially when you stitch with other tathesers. Like,
Yeah.
I feel like every circle, every like gathering, I always learn something new from people. But okay, so you started like stitching a thobe within a year essentially like is your essentially your second project it sounds
Yeah,
like
literally. I started in October and yeah, I think we actually even started in November. And I started
I
in
love
November
you.
and I started
Amazing.
my thobe and I joined the cohort in January. And I was like,
That's
eh,
Wow.
amazing.
I'm one of those
All right, so
girls that
no excuses people.
no, no excuses. I have it in my head where I'm like, how hard can it be? Like, I don't know if you've seen it on TikTok. Like, how hard can it be? I have
Yeah.
that mentality. It's not the easiest, but it is the most one of the most rewarding things I've done, and like meeting people and the journey that's taken me on. I think that the Footy's journey in itself, emotionally, spiritually, socially, like it's just been so enriching. And I feel like I
Mm.
would have been a completely different human than I am now if I didn't have that. And it just like opened up so many things for me, so many new connections, new experiences, new feelings. Like it's just subhanAllah, like it just, yeah, it's one gigantic journey that branches into a bunch of things.
I love that. I love that. Wait, so how are Nada and Noura now? Are they still working on their athwab or are you guys still practicing together?
Of course, yeah. So we have a small little three circle, and
Cute.
yeah, we've taken it to public a few times, and usually it's just like we're just so late to post about a three circle, so we just end up hanging out together, which we're doing it tomorrow. So we've been consistent, and it's amazing to have a group of girls that you can just be like, hey man, like I'm overwhelmed, or I miss you guys. Let's go to threes over some coffee. Let's and other people will come in and other girls be like, oh, my friend is coming, and oh, so and so is coming, or whatever. So it's just such a nice way to connect with each other consistently all the time. Noura is done her thobe. I don't know if I should be like exposing her, but she is one of the most
Exposing.
I
amazing.
know, like,
What a word.
girl, we're telling
She,
on you, Nuda.
I tried to convince her to come to the Tatreez Retreat so bad. I was like, please. But she is an amazing, brilliant lawyer, so she couldn't come last minute. And so I'm like, okay, whatever. But she is absolutely phenomenal. Like her work, her speed, you guys, like, oh, a dream. Like she will work on something, she'll like get a new piece of clothing, and like while she's working on her thobe, and she's like, how much that is on this? I'm like, oh, that's good. And then she'll show up to a thing, and it'll be done. Like her blouse will be done, or like sleeves will be done on
I feel
something.
like that's Lena. Lena doesn't like
No,
Lena's
no,
speed.
I don't.
Girl, mashallah aleki, and
I
you
know, but I
skip.
don't show up to like different. That's what I would love to do. I get distracted by like big projects. I need to do more on my clothing. I like that.
I
That's
love that. That's
amazing.
what she got me to do. Like she was my inspiration for my jeans jacket. And because I kept
Mm.
seeing her clothes, she did like a beautiful trench coat, like on the back of her trench coat, she did some fatris.
Ooh,
You
Ooh,
how
guys,
yeah.
chic.
mashallah, like mashallah anha, phenomenal. And I love like little pieces. She like also tatreez on her graduating dress, like just like little things here and there that like you look at and you're like, that is so personal and so beautiful. And just like, you know how you said like I'm so unapologetically Palestinian?
Mm.
Yeah,
That's her in everything she does, like every step she takes,
love
every
that.
unapologetically Palestinian, super loud about it. And I was so inspired to do that and just have little things here and there on my clothing
Mm.
where someone's like, what is that? And I'm like, it's
Well.
Palestinian.
That's
Oh,
amazing. You're in good company. I like the people you're keeping around you, girl.
Yeah.
Um, can I okay about your thobe? I'm curious, like because you're already I mean, how far along are you on your thobe? You're like halfway through, are you not?
I wish, man. I wish. I'm I'm almost done the front panels.
Okay. I
So
mean, that's a lot of
after
work
that,
still.
I
That's a
know
big chunk.
it is work. It is really is. And I don't know if I'm gonna do the back panels. I feel like past me, if I don't do it, then I'm gonna like kick past me till the end of time.
Mm,
So I might
yeah.
extend the journey and then just like ball out and just do it all, you know,
Yeah. Might as well.
as well.
If you're already there. Well, can I ask
But
what story are you telling with your thobe? Like with the design that you picked?
so my thobe is gonna be about Palestinian agriculture and gardens, really just to like talk about the
Mm.
landscape of Palestine and just I don't know, just nature in general. So right now there has pomegranates, and then on the side is the biziru maya, so the seeds in the water, and then the coffee on the sides, and then my abbe is almost designed, it's almost done, and it has things like olives and almonds and flowers and orange blossoms. Like it's all going to be Philistine landscape, which I think is one of the most beautiful landscapes ever. And yeah, that's the inspiration.
I
that's
love that. I
amazing.
love that it's like a story about Philistine. Like, obviously I know a lot of people want to stitch like a thobe for their village or their region. And I think like obviously post 48 with like having taking on more of like a whole Palestinian identity. I think it's gonna be really cool. I'm very excited to see it. How did you decide like this was the story that you were gonna tell?
So initially, I wanted it to be where I was from. So I wanted it to be like a story about Safad and my grandparents and
Hmm.
all that. It got super overwhelming because there's not really much about Safad. Like even looking at like Dira Zain and trying to flip
Yeah.
through my friends' books and stuff, I'm like, I can't really find much. So it quickly evolved from that into like, okay, what do I love? Like, what do I like? And I remember sitting in the garden just like freezing, and I'm like, oh my God, I like that stuff. So I looked into the Palestinian agriculture and landscape, and I also love like um, during October last year, I was really into like food, and that's how I connected with my culture too. So I love like ingredients and food and agriculture in that way too. So I was like, oh my gosh, both of these things together, let's combine them and just do like kind of a garden, landscape, agriculture themed, and yeah, that's how it started.
I love that. So what's the color palette?
It is. Do you want the exact colors?
I mean, no, it's okay. Just like
Like no one's gonna know except like
She
the
was
obscure
about to bust out her like balls and
DMC
start reading
numbers.
numbers.
DMC 321, DMC 400.
If anyone wants to know, we will get the information from Fatima.
It's a green, orange, fuchsia, and red.
Ooh,
So
green,
really
orange,
bright
fuchsia, and
colors.
red. I
Yeah,
love that. And the fabric is like you brought it right on the Tatreez Retreat. It's like a
I did.
beige.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's like a more of a dark brown. It's a wool blend.
Mm. Okay.
So yeah, I'm super
Uh,
excited. I'm happy with it. I always get like this second wind, or like it's at this point it's like my 12th wind for my so,
we
and
understand.
it was supposed to come on my trip with me because like I have a thing where I'm like I'm gonna Tatreez my thobe. Imagine like it'd be so nice to have like this thobe was Tatreez in, Mexico and Paris and
Hmm.
whatever, but I literally could not bring it on with me, which I'm super super sad about. But that just means I have to go other places.
Obviously,
There you
obviously,
go.
obviously.
I think Haneen, one of our previous guests who came to our first Tatreez retreat, I think it was Haneen who said that like she does something similar with like her projects. She takes them out, she travels and then looks back and is like, oh, I did this part while I was here or when I was going through that. So yeah, I think it's a cool addition to the story,
It's
but
so
you have plenty more
special.
to stitch. So
You have more panels.
you got time, girl.
Way more. Oh my
You
gosh.
got time and places.
I could go back and do my trip again with that thobe, and
There
it'll
you
still
There
go.
you go. There you go. Okay, so you're working on your film, you're working on a million other projects, and you also mentioned the jean jacket, which was inspired by your friend and something that you actually finished at the Tatreez retreat. So
yeah.
we were a part of it. We got to see it, and it's stunning. It's like
Oh.
insanely stunning. We'll show pictures, but can you tell us a little bit more about the jean jacket, the story behind it?
Yeah. So I love the mountains, and that's something that I wanted to have with me all the time. Like we're so so lucky here. It's like one of Alberta's saving graces is that we have the Rockies so close to us, and it's just such a sacred place to me. So to combine the trees and that together was just obviously a no-brainer when it came to that. And so I started it way before I even knew that the three treat was a thing. And it took a long time. I left it for a while and I came back. And then knowing that I was going to the Tattoos retreat and being in Yosemite and like having this experience, I wanted to have it done so badly. So the design came together. It was mountains and water and roses and everything that I love. And I finished it with a bunch of girls who are now sisters to me in the mountains, which is so poetic. I can't like I still can't get over it. Like I get goosebumps every time I think of it. I'm like, how did that happen? And it's gonna be my forever jacket. So it's gonna be a little tattoos here and there, now that the main piece is done. And yeah,
Any ideas on what you'll add to it next?
I really want to add trees to the top part. Like there's
Mm,
some beautiful trees, and they look at Citizen has them. I can't remember where they're from, but maybe the design is from Hebron, but they look like Lebanese cedar trees.
okay, yeah.
And yeah, I just feel like that will also tie it together, like a piece of Lebanon, a piece of the trees, and a piece of the mountains and nature. Oh, it's just
I
love
love
this
it.
stuff.
I love it. We love
We'll
it too.
also have to, yeah, we'll have to share pictures of the beautiful jean jacket that you stitched. So okay, you mentioned a little bit earlier too, and you just kind of mentioned now, with being Palestinian and Lebanese, and of course being born and raised in Canada. Like I think most of us in diaspora, regardless of where you are in diaspora, have that feeling of like being stuck between cultures. But given that you have like gone on this like the Tatreez journey, built this like the Tatreez community, both locally and globally. I'm curious how the Tatreez has reshaped your both your Palestinian identity and your Lebanese identity.
It's again going back to the idea of soul ties is when you feel like you're not enough for both, you kind of like lose that. You kind of step back and you're like, okay, well, I guess I'll just be a nomad forever, knowing that there's some here and there's some here. But then once you have a soul tie, you're like so deeply connected and you're reminded that, like, no, this is who you are. This is where you come from. It like strengthens all of that. Like, subhanAllah, like, I don't know, maybe it's because they're both Arab and they're both so similar in so many ways, but the once I started connecting with the trees, everything kind of fell together. So like language fell together and music and culture and all of that, like it all kind of cemented because of that. And I know it sounds like to someone who doesn't, who's never done Tatreez, it probably is like, okay, like Tatreez did that, and you're like, yes, I swear, like it's just so magical. Like I don't know how to explain it. Like it just solidified everything. All the puzzle pieces were pushed out, and then with Tatreez, it like kind of pushed it back in, and was like, this is who you are. This is who you're always gonna be. You know, it doesn't
Mm.
matter if you
Yeah.
end up in Antarctica. It doesn't matter if you end up wherever. This is you.
Uh,
Hmm.
I love that visual that you just said. It's like the pieces were pushed out and then it pushed them back in to make them that I literally have that in my mind right now, like puzzle pieces
Yeah.
coming out and going in. I love that. I love that.
And how, like, obviously I'm assuming community is a big part of that, right? Like you learned from two of your friends. And it sounds like, you guys are slowly building like a local community there. So what has that experience been like for you?
It's been so rewarding. Like I honestly, even till now, like sometimes I'll be like, oh, just like let's just hang out together and just we'll forget about what we've been posting out into the community. And then we'll have people going to like different members of the group being like, when are you guys doing Tatreez again? Like, are you guys still
Mm.
doing Tatreez? And I'm like, oh my gosh, yes. Like I would love to come. And like people coming in, even girls who are, studying abroad or, moved away and then come back and visit. And they're like, oh, I'll be here in October or in January. Are you guys gonna have like a three circle? And then you're reminded that like people need this, like people want this, people need this, and
Yeah.
there is this desire to learn and to be in community. So I think that's what
Hmm.
propels us forward. And inshallah, like as things, everyone's kind of busy in their own lives, and as we more solidify this community, and like inshallah, there'll be more workshops and groups and other groups and different things to branch out to. So that's what I'm like looking forward to. But it's just amazing to be reminded of like how many people want to even just learn and want to be part of
Hmm.
that. So yeah.
Yeah.
Oh.
I mean, it's like we were talking about at the beginning with the whole, the Americans, we know each other and how it's harder in Canada. And Jed, like I'm a big, big, big proponent of the three circles. Because once you kind of get in like the hang of it, it's very, 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 very low lift. Like once you
Oh
find
yeah.
like a good spot and like it's super easy. So I'm gonna be like in the background telling you like, hey girl, when you guys having your next 50 circle? Because it's true, like what you were just saying, like people who are like, maybe
Yeah.
they're living somewhere else now, but like their home base is Alberta. And when they come home, like Yani, we just had at the three circle in the Bay Area, during Thanksgiving weekend, and there was people who were home for the holidays and they used to be the bigger part of our community, and now they're able to come and stitch with us, and it's like yani khalas, we're picking right back up. So it's a really, really
Absolutely.
powerful tool that we have. Like it's a free and easy tool too.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's so rewarding for so little lift, like you said. And sometimes you forget, like sometimes we're just like, oh, well, who wants to do this? Like, we love this, but does
Yeah.
everyone else love this?
Yeah.
And then I'll be out randomly and someone will see me and they're just like, hey, are you having the three circle soon? Like, you still doing that? And I'm like, oh my God, you're right, girl.
It has been a
Oh, I
while.
love that.
That's so
Yeah,
beautiful.
but see, that's the impact you have. Like that's the impact you
Yeah.
guys have on the community, which I think is really important and beautiful.
Yeah. And not that there's any sort of like need for it. Like we do have other people in the community that are doing that, like the workshop thing, but if there's something else to be said about like low maintenance, low commitment, bunch of girls just grabbing coffee, grab your
Yeah.
tatris, and some girls like sometimes they'll bring their big projects and sometimes they're just sitting there with a little bit of piece of Ida cloth. They just want to yap.
Mm-hmm.
They just want
Yeah,
to
that's me.
That's a Manny.
That's me. I come to the three circles. Like I always pretend I'm gonna stitch, and maybe I'll get a few stitches in. But girl, I'm there to gossip and see if anyone has any cute single brothers.
absolutely.
Kidding.
Absolutely. I think we've talked about I think what did we do on our last Tatreez circle? Oh yeah. Um I got my friends to make a Salams account.
Dead.
Oh, during the circle? I love that.
I'm like, we're just talking about boys and like just drop my tatreez. And I was just like, give me your phone.
That is
Give me
so
that.
Muslim coded.
I love that. That's so funny. Oh my goodness.
So yeah, I was just like,
Oh,
tatreez
that's so
circles will go
funny.
anywhere.
It's
Oh my god. That's Hilarious.
Oh my
Okay, so
God,
there's multiple purposes for these
yeah.
Tatreez circles.
Absolutely. It's a million.
Exactly. You know, honestly, one of the things that I always remember about Fatima from the Tatreez retreat is just what a great storyteller you are. And like
Oh, girl.
the stories that you tell are just like you're just such a fantastic storyteller.
She is.
So kind of related to community, but more specifically Tatreez retreat. When did, because you mentioned earlier actually that you joined last minute. I don't remember like when people joined, but tell us more about like what made you make the decision to join us, and then, you know, your experience of the Tattoos retreat, because we had so much fun with you. So
Yeah. Also, the fact that you braved leaving Canada for America, Yani, we're honored. Thank you so much.
Oh my gosh, it was an easy decision for you guys. But it was
Habibi.
actually Paige that I met Paige. So I met Paige
Oh, that's right. That's
online.
right.
Yeah.
That's right.
And we became friends right away and we connected right away. And I remember she like saw like the Laser Street and I think she was really quick to um get into it. And then she would message me every time you guys posted something, she'd be like, and you'd be like, oh, 20 spots left. She would message me that. She's like, 20 spots left. And I'm like, okay, okay, Paige. And it'd be like 10 spots left, 7 spots left. And she would like consistently message, please, like it'll be so fun and whatever. And then I remember like thinking about it and like stewing on it because I'm just like, man, like I don't know anyone. And like everyone knows each other
Which is so not
already.
true. Yeah, which is so not true. And
Yeah. And
you also had not met Paige at this point. Like you guys had only
no,
met through Instagram, right? Yeah.
yeah, we haven't even like FaceTimed or anything. We just like
Which,
immediately.
by the way, Yani, you guys were like, I did not realize that you guys had not met. Like, I thought that you guys were like
Besties.
old friends.
Okay,
I
Yeah.
love it.
honestly, that's also the magic of Tatreez. I feel like Tatreezers, there's something magical about it because like look at the retreat, like 20 girls in under one roof, and we connected like nothing, like sisters
Yeah.
in a
Mm-hmm.
matter of days. So that's
Mm-hmm.
exactly what Paige was like. And I remember the last time she like messaged me, she was like, "There's 1 spot left," and I was like telling Paige, I was like, "Oh my gosh!" Like I was at work and I was like, I have to look for hotels in Sacramento, like no way. And immediately, like this is also like the hadet of the Palestinian. She was like,
Yeah.
absolutely not. Like, absolutely. There's no way you're staying in a hotel. You're staying at my house. Like, I would be so offended if you went anywhere else. And I was like, you know what? Fine.
Sold.
Immediately booked it. Yeah. And I was like, you know what? And I think I was doing something at work and I was like, if it's no save, like, it'll still be available by the time I'm done. I think I was doing a procedure or something. And I'm like, it'll be done by the time I'm done. And I finished it, came on, it was still available. And I was like, but it's mine. Call us.
There you
And the rest
go.
is history.
Ah, amazing. Oh my God,
And the
that's so
first time,
true. Yeah.
yeah, and the first time I met Paige was at the airport, her and her husband, and like it was like meeting long lost family. Like it was like I got into the car and hey
Oh,
guys, and
Habibi, I love that.
it was
I
like
love
yeah,
that.
long lost sister that I met. And every time the best thing about meeting Paige too was like when we'd be sitting down, I'd say something and her husband would be like, "What?" And I'm like, "What?" And he's like, "Paige said that the other day. Paige does
Oh
that."
my God.
And
Yeah.
he's
That's
like,
so
he'll
Oh,
look
fun.
at Paige and he'll look at me and he'll be like, what? You said that. You say the same thing. And we're like, oh my God, maybe are you from Ajaoni?
maybe. You never know.
Oh,
So
that's so
yeah,
great.
subhanAllah, it's such an amazing thing. And even like the girls at the Tattoos retreat, like I remember walking in being super, super nervous and being like, oh, I don't know what to expect. And like, I don't know how people are going to react because you never know with those things.
Yeah.
And it was like the second you start talking to one person, another person, like you realize like, oh my gosh, like these girls are so cool, these girls are so amazing. And you have to be a certain type of amazing to love Tatreez that much.
To love it enough to
Like,
go away for a week with random people
yeah,
and just stitch. Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
agreed. Go away to the middle of nowhere, Command. We went to Yosemite.
no service, like in the middle of a
Literally,
mountain.
literally.
I say that to people sometimes, and even like my friends even with the Tatreez circle, they're like, "You're so brave for doing that," and I'm like, "Okay, yeah, like if from the outside looking in, sure, you're like, this girl's crazy. Like you went by yourself to this place, random girls, you don't know what to expect. But like to Tatreezers, I feel like it's like, yeah, what's up? You
Yeah.
know?
Yeah,
Yeah, it's
exactly.
true. It's true.
Where else
I
would you
always
want to
say
be?
that, like, Yeah, no, I always say that like Tatreez is like this cool thing that connects us. Yeah, I mean, there's so many of us that like maybe would have never been connected any other way. Like we would not have crossed paths. Like Lena and I
Yeah.
connected through Tatreez, and like we have similarities, but we're also like different people. And like, I don't know. I mean, also like we live across the country from
Yeah.
each other. So who knows if we would have ever crossed paths. But now, like, Yanni, before you even jumped on, I was telling Lena, I've been traveling so much. I was like, girl, I haven't talked to you in a minute. I miss you. What's going
Yeah.
on?
Yeah.
But like, it's true. Yanni, you like, even I feel like same as you, like coming into the Tatreez retreat, like meeting everyone, it's like, oh, Palestinian and non-Palestinian. Because as a reminder,
Yeah.
we definitely have a lot of non-Palestinian allies who come through. And everyone's just like family. It's
Yeah.
great.
It's Tatreez, man. It's Tatreez. Wallah. Like people tell me, they're like, I even telling my coworkers, they're like, I'm like, yeah, I'm going to this thing, this retreat, and they're expecting like a yoga retreat or something crazy. I'm like,
Yeah.
embroidery. And they're like, what is happening? And I was like, you won't understand. Like the Tatreezers
Yeah.
understand. The Tatreezers get it.
Yes.
Homegirls know.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
That's
Yes.
it.
Yeah. And it goes back to what we talk about all like I think every Tatrizer talks about this all the time. I know Lena and I do, but like it goes back to the fact that like Tatriz is not just stitching. It's not just embroidery. It's so much more than that. And it encompasses so much of our culture in so many different facets and like what it means for us in diaspora, like children of 48, like all these things, like there's so many layers to it. So yes, Tatriz is definitely like a door to a whole new world. So yeah,
It is.
I'm really glad that you found that.
And I want to hit that home so bad. Like I feel like someone's gonna listen to this and be like, you need to chill. Like it's not that crazy. It is. Well, if you're listening, it
Yes.
is.
Well,
Take that for
to be
real.
fair, if someone is listening to this and they probably get it. They're listening to a
True.
podcast called Tatreez Talk.
No,
Oh
I'm gonna
man.
force everyone I know to watch this podcast, the teaser or not. If you don't watch this podcast, you hate me. That's what you're saying. So,
We're
شوف
gonna take out
الدراما
that
شوف
clip.
الدراما
We're gonna take
شوف
out this clip
الدراما.
and post it. Oh my goodness.
unfollow me
I don't know
right
if
now
that's
if
the
you're not gonna watch
Lebanese
it.
side or the Palestinian side.
Definitely the Lebanese side. Oh my gosh, like everyone usually will hear my accent because my mom is Palestinian. They'll hear my accent and be like, "Oh, Heidi Palestinian for sure." I'm like, "Yeah." Then they'll see my spicy side and they're like, "Whoa."
I'm bringing it to you.
Just
I love it. I love it. Okay, so Fatima, like getting back into like your stitching, right? Like now you've been stitching for a little over a year. Like you're in this world, you are building connections with the Tatreez community globally. What do you like? What do you see as like important parts of your Tatreez practice? Like, what are some like rituals that you have started incorporating, whether it's with community or when you're stitching by yourself?
Oh, good question. What I love stitching outside, and I
Mhm.
feel
Mm,
like being grounded outside, especially like there's something so special about Tatreezing, like the mountain jacket or like the garden thobe outside in the garden or in the mountains or whatever. It's just so grounding. It's so meditative, which I recommend to everyone. Just like if you're overwhelmed,
mm,
take your projects, go sit, touch some grass, literally
mm.
touch grass,
Yes.
sit outside, take your project with you. Like we talked, like another thing I would love to incorporate is like this idea of like having these pieces come with me everywhere. So they're memories, like you know how there's like olfactory memories and like taste memories and sight memories. You have all these different memories. Your hands also have memories. So like to sit there and have this piece and be like, this came with me all over, this gave me solace in, you know, Italy's crazy airport. All the way to, the peaks of Banff. Like this was there with me
Mhm.
all the time. So those are rituals I really love to incorporate. Also stitching in community. I never ever want to lose that. I never want to lose that with my friends and strangers, and connecting over the trees is just otherworldly. And yeah, those are my favorite rituals.
I love that. I love that. Although caveat, you live in Edmonton or Alberta, and how often can you actually stitch outside? It's cold.
Okay, valid,
It is
so valid. Which is why we make up for it with community.
There you go. There you go. There you go. I love it.
You know, I've thought
Oh
about
my
it. I've
God.
thought about stitching in the snow because I miss it so much, and it's
إيه
been a hot
مجنونة.
minute. And I'm like, my fingers will fall off. Like they
Yeah. Yeah, it's just the sad reality. Yeah. You need to get like you need to invest in like an outdoor heated space. I don't know if that can happen, but
we do have that actually.
oh,
We have like
okay.
little domes that are
Yeah.
heated for
Oh,
restaurants. And I thought about that before. I'm like, should I just go there and see if it's actually like
Yeah.
legitimate?
You should try. Let us know if it works. I'm
Watch
curious.
me just get
girl,
one.
The California in me is shivering.
Yes, put into California. Every time I think of California, like take me
Take me
back.
back. Literally.
Yeah, well, you're welcome anytime. You have a place to stay in Sacramento with Paige. You have a place to stay in San Francisco with me. So, and we got people in SoCal, girl. We could sprinkle you. We could sprinkle you throughout the state if we need to.
There we go.
Absolutely. I would love to. I'll bring you all the Canadian chocolate because American chocolate is worse. But
So,
Okay, wait.
so random. So
This
random.
is random, but it also just reminded me of your comment. I think you and Layla were talking about the water and like what was it that you guys were talking about our water and Ipsit Ish, what you guys were putting in your water, and I was so confused.
I brought electrolytes and Kari thought they
Yes.
were ashes. She's like, why do you have ashes? I was like, why would you think that? Why is that the first thing that comes to your mind?
Oh my god. Oh my god.
And we started
Yeah.
talking about the water, and Layla looks at me and she didn't want to say it out loud. And she like looks at me and she's like, oh my gosh, she's like, are you hydrated? And I'm like, no. And she's like, oh my God, me either.
You
And
guys
so
are so bizarre.
we're
But we
convinced in our
debunked
mind.
this.
I
Yeah,
think
you
it
guys,
is.
yes,
It
you
was
guys
because
were
of the
you were
altitude.
yeah.
But
You guys were convinced of this, but we were debunked it.
I would like to put out a poll to all the Americans who have been to Canada / Canadians who have been to America. Do you notice a difference? Yes or no?
Okay,
Because I would.
this is not an appropriate forum for that poll. We will take the home village and we will take the outdoor stitching, but we will not take a poll on water.
You can come to my DMs. Drop it in my
Tell
DMs.
us, lead us.
Especially if
Oh
you're a
my
cute
God.
boy, you can drop it
Oh
in
my,
my DMs for sure.
okay, okay,
Dead,
moving on,
dead.
moving on.
And if you're over 35, you could drop it in my DMs instead.
Yeah. No, I'll vet
God.
Amanis. I'll vet Amanis. I want her to have a good one.
If this, don't be afraid if this conversation freaks you out. If you're just in the Tatreez Retreat, this isn't how it always, although
Oh
it
my
is kind
god.
of how it goes, but you know.
It is how it
Anyways,
goes. It's fun. It's fun.
A little
anyways,
bit of this, a little
anyways.
bit of that. It's okay.
Anyways. So, okay, Fatima, you finished your jean jacket. It's your all forever jacket, and your thobe is in progress. What are the other projects that you have going on? What are you working on next?
I have a little piece that's a tribute to Lebanon. It's like a landscape of the Rawshi. It's not very traditional, like motifs and stuff, but it is going to be kind of like a landscape of that. And it's just something I work on, whether if I'm on night shift or if I'm, need a palette cleanser for my thobe. And inshallah, it'll be done soon. And it's just the ocean, which I love also, and Lebanon, the flag, the Rawshi. Yeah,
I love that.
yeah.
Beautiful. Okay. And we always like to ask people, what is something that you've taken away from Tatreez? What is a major life lesson that you have gained since you've been stitching?
Tatreez, going back to the soul tie thing. I know it's like super, I sound like a broken record at this point, but it reminded me that there are always going to be things that connect you to what you think you're not connected to, if that makes sense. Like, no matter what, you're going to continuously grow and you're continuously going to find things that make you who you are, and just allow that to happen and learn and be open to things and let them come as they come, and just be open to that, open to learning, open to growing your mind, expanding your repertoire of the things that you do, because you never know what's gonna make you who you are and solidify that for you. So I think that's my biggest life lesson, because it truly was such a big turning point for me. And um, just tying it all together in a nice little bow. And who knows, maybe that bow will unravel one day, maybe it'll stay strong, but there's always going to be something else that's going to connect you, and not to lose that and not to feel like a nomad.
Oh, that is so
So
beautiful.
beautifully said.
I
Yeah.
love that.
Thank you for sharing that. That was great. Love it. Fatma, you're the best. We have had way too much fun chatting. And Lena's trying to like keep us on track. She's the responsible one, clearly. But
Someone
this has
has
been amazing. This has been amazing chatting with you and like revisiting these stories and appreciate you sharing with us. And if people want to follow you or if someone's local and they want to get in touch and be in community, how can people get in touch with you?
the best way would be on my Tatreez account, which is olives underscore and underscore cedar, just olives and cedar. And yeah,
We'll link it.
thank you.
Amazing. Well, thank you so much. We had way too much fun. I'm very excited to like continue hearing about your Tatreez journey because I honestly I can't believe it's been a little over a year only.
Yeah.
I'm actually really, really excited to hear your perspective when you finish your thobe and like as you continue to build your like local Tatreez community and your global Tatreez community too.
I love it. I
Thanks,
love
you
it.
guys.
Thank you,
Thank you so
Fatima.
much, Habibti. Okay, that was way too much fun. Too much laughing. So sorry, everyone, if we laughed too much. But Potts was a good time, which is exactly why we wanted her on the episode, like to do an episode of the podcast because she is such a great storyteller. Actually, Lena and I were talking about the fact that we might need to like pull some bonus video clips for you all, just because you
To
have to see her expression.
appreciate her
Yes,
storytelling. Yes.
exactly.
So good.
No,
So
but
good.
honestly, I also don't think, I mean, I know she told us during the retreat, but I don't think I fully registered the fact that like she's been stitching and at that point the retreat was
Yeah.
in what, September, so it hadn't even been a year and she's already like on her
Hmm.
thobe. Like that's insanely impressive. Which also I think just goes to show like if you want to stitch a thobe, like
You
yani there's
can.
no time limit because into you too you stitched
Yeah.
your thobe fairly early on in your like Tatreez journey too.
Yeah. The barrier is not as high as people think it is. It's
Yeah.
a lot more accessible and if you really want to do it and you set your mind to it, 100% go for it. If anything,
Yeah,
just
totally.
just start. Yeah. I think for me, like this episode, what I loved hearing her talk about was what you mentioned earlier as well, was that phrase soul ties. Um,
Right?
I'm obsessed with that. That's gonna be the
Love.
title. That's gonna be the title for this
Yes.
episode. It's so good. I love that. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm definitely going to be using that terminology. I because yeah, when she said it, I was like, oh yeah, that just those two words, like that
Hmm.
completely explains everything. I think I feel, I think you probably resonate too, and I think most people will understand that. I think especially like, I and there's a lot of non-Palestinians within our community, and I think even they can feel that, even
Mm,
without being Palestinian. But I think
yeah.
especially if you're Palestinian, it's like it takes it to a next level. So yeah, soul ties. I love that. Thank you for bringing that into our lives, Fatma.
Yes, 100%, 100%. Oh, so good. Well, thank you, listeners, for listening to another episode of Tatreez Talk. Like you just saw, please reach out to us if you want to share your story because we want to hear about your Tatreez journey. We are very friendly and easygoing. So please share your stories with us at tatreeztalk@gmail.com because we would love to have you on an upcoming episode. Don't forget to subscribe to the podcast on your favorite listening platform and be sure to leave a 5-star review. You can follow me at Lina's Thobe and Amani at Min Amani, and of course, follow the pod at Tatreez Talk. We will talk to you guys soon.